And so the other part of that is advertising. So we talked about, I've talked about the frizzle effect with this new cereal, but there's so many commercials on television, and we had commercials before that, but I think we got absolutely flooded with them once we had the television. And then you start having companies competing for your brain when they're doing advertising. Advertising is very clever stuff. Advertising is all about getting you to have a certain feeling to associate with a product. That it's not all about that, but it's a lot about that. For example, when you see a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola commercial, typically what they've tried to do is a couple of different things. Well, one of them is to have the best stars, the most sought after people, the Michael Jacksons in the 80s, and these big stars. And they'll show these commercials of either these big stars and these wonderful concerts and things that would make you feel good because you like them anyway. And then they associate that with their product. And what that's doing is associating an emotion with their product. And the emotion is the excitement you have when you see these stars and the lights and the glitz of it and the product. And another form of that is when they show you something like there's a beach and it's the perfect beach and everybody's happy and they all look great and they're having this really cool game of beach volleyball, or they're skating along the beach, and they're really happy and it's fun and they're happy. And it's all about you, doesn't this feel great, you're on the beach, this is the best, and then they associate that with a product. And you might think that's about cooling down on the beach, and they're showing this cold bottle of Pepsi, and that's what you use to cool yourself down. It's got nothing to do with the coldness whatsoever. It's got to do with the emotion that they're creating in you of all these wonderful environment, being on the beach, everybody's beautiful, everybody's having a good time. What happens is you start feeling these kind of feelings as you're seeing the pictures, the audio visual, and you're seeing that they're talking about Pepsi Cola. And if they show it to you enough, what happens is you walk through a store and you see a can of Pepsi. And what happens is your brain fires back up the emotions that you went through when you were watching all these commercials, because you've associated their product with these images that they've shown you. And so you might walk through a supermarket and you see the Pepsi product, I want that. Why do you want it? Because it makes you feel good somehow. It makes you feel good somehow. It's because they basically brainwashed you to associate these great feelings of the beach and the happiness and the beauty with their product. I think that's immoral, personally. I personally think that should be against the law, because that's brainwashing. It's 100% brainwashing. It's getting you to associate an emotion with their product. The product itself, it may have to be good to some degree, but you can get a pretty mediocre product and make people feel good at it by brainwashing them in this way. It's not the same as subliminal images, like flashing things up while they're saying something else, and that's something that they tried and that's outlawed. But this is just the same, in my opinion. It's getting you to associate emotions with their product. Another one is, when was it that the American people felt that it was absolutely necessary for them to drive great big enormous trucks or any cars with huge engines? When did it become necessary to feel like you've got to have these things? I'm not sure, but when I watch the television and the commercials, what I see is this, and especially in the Midwest, they'll show you this great big truck with this enormous great engine with all this power, and they'll associate it with being a true American. If you're a true American, you have this great big truck, and again, that's purely brainwashing. It seems to me that the people have been brainwashed over many years through the advertising, primarily on the television, because it's there so often, and it's audio-visual, with these ideas, with these feelings. So to feel like you're a true American, now you've got to go and get a big truck. Now, of course, everybody's free. You can do what you want. But if you don't think there's power in advertising, ask yourself, why do they spend billions of dollars on advertising? It's because it works. And they understand this. And they would call it brainwashing, but I don't know what they would call it. You might call it associating emotions with products. So that maybe you don't call that brainwashing, but I do. I don't think it's right for them to be able to. I think that you should only be able to advertise facts about things, what it looks like, and the dimensions, and and what it can do for you. But as soon as you put in music and these images of patriotism and other things that you might put in, or if you're a true like buff guy, then this is the kind of truck that you have. This is appealing to your emotions, and it's brainwashing you to feel like you should have this product. And I think that that's television that is the biggest culprit for that, because I don't see any other medium that has the ability to get into your mind as often as a television. And quite frankly, we've decided to switch it off in our house because I don't like it. We watch films sometimes, we have Netflix, but we don't have cable TV. It's mostly trash on it anyway. It's mostly inappropriate these days. But I like watching films. I like to be entertained, don't get me wrong, and there are some TV shows I quite like, but I don't want to justify having it there all the time, because when you've got it there all the time, you have it on all the time. And when you have it on all the time, then these people who want to brainwash you with either their social agendas or they want you to buy their products, they have this time with you every day where they get to give you their messages. And I absolutely tell you that if you spend a lot of time with somebody telling you something, it will sink in. Now, you might be strong enough to dismiss those messages, maybe, but I'm suggesting to you that television often enough, if you see messages often enough on the television through soap operas, sitcoms, as far as social norms, or as far as products and advertising, which in the States drives me crazy how many commercials there are, that those things are going to somehow enter in and filter into your brain because you're experiencing them. So somehow it changes your attitudes and it changes your emotions, and then when you have certain attitudes towards social issues and you have certain attitudes and emotions towards products, all because it's been firing off these audiovisual images hour after hour after hour after day after day after day. That's so I want you to debate this. This is how I think television is the #1 impact on society and the direction it takes. And it's not just television; we have our own choices. But I think television accelerates social directions, and I think it has. And I've talked about some of the ways I think it has, but I think you can come up with more. And I think I better stop talking. So thank you for listening. It's a long one, but I think this is the only thing we're going to deal with in this section, because I want to move on to modern times.